Hey, good morning, everybody. What's going on? This is Average Discussion. Thank you for joining me in Studio Silverado today on this Thursday, March 7th, 2024. It's about 36 degrees out here in the outskirts of the Salt Lake City area. Nice rainy day. I love it. Anybody who knows me, this is my type of weather. So the rain stuck around. Not a whole lot of snow. I think the mountains are getting some snow, but it's a nice, gloomy, wet day. And it really, I don't know. I thrive in this kind of environment. This is my favorite type of weather. It doesn't bother me one bit. A lot of people don't like it. They're sunshine people. I am not a sunshine baby. I am a dark and gloomy. Fits my personality, matches my soul. All those things are applicable. So, this is my favorite type. So, anyways, that's the weather here. Again, thank you for joining me today. So, quick orders of business. Yesterday, I really wanted to do an episode yesterday, but I was so focused on trying to improve this experience, right? Because one of the big things that I always preach about the show is interaction, but I don't really have a way to interact in the moment, right? I haven't figured that out yet. I've got to figure out a way to where I can interact with a group of people during the actual recording of this, and I just haven't figured that out yet, right? So I've brainstormed some ideas of okay, do guests, get people who might be interested to come on. We talk about some stuff or whatever. But the thing is that, I'm an adult. Contrary to my mental state, I am an adult, right? And everybody I know is an adult for the most part. And it's hard to find that time, times are really interesting right now. Everybody I know is pretty busy with a lot of stuff. So it's relatively hard. And plus, I know that a lot of people support me, but I can't say that this is their cup of tea. You know what I mean? And I love the support. I appreciate the support without a doubt. I appreciate the support. But I don't know that this is necessarily everybody's cup of tea. So I've been trying to find my group of people, which I don't even know what that looks like anymore, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure because, I thought it would be somewhere along the realms of talking about all the new stuff, which I'm about to get into. I'm not going to bore you guys to death too much. But then I've learned some things, especially trying to be bigger on the social medias, which, by the way, I can't stand these social medias, man. I can't stand them, because here's what I've learned is that, one, if you comment on anything news related, you can't really have a discussion. Nobody wants to have a discussion. They just want their part of how they feel about it to be heard. And that's the end of it. There's no talk about trying to find, understanding or anything like that. It's just, I think the president's old and senile, and that's it, right? Or I think Trump's the greatest thing since, sliced bread. That's all you're going to get, right? So commenting on news things and trying to interact with people on that it's almost like a lost cause. And then I also think a lot of people see the name of my social medias and think that I'm out there trying to spam, that it maybe isn't a real person. So that's probably problematic, right? But the other thing that I notice with these social medias is the amount of people, especially on things like Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it these days, right? Those people are posting, arguably, their posts are good for conversation, right? But what I've learned is that the people who post them have no intent of actually conversating with you. All they're looking for is that you're going to have a conversation within their comments, and it's going to blow their thing up, right? And so as a result of that, you don't interact with the person. You interact with the people who are also following the person, but they're on the same kind of level as, commenting on the new stuff. They just want their part to be heard. They don't care to discuss it. And so you just end up with these threads of comments that just end up just repeating themselves, for one. And everybody's defensive. You know what I'm saying? It's so stupid. It's so stupid, and then you look at things like, Instagram and stuff like that. I don't want to post every hour just to keep my stuff fresh in people's feeds. You know what I mean? I've never been about that. I'm not trying to be a social media influencer. I'm just trying to get my product out there and get some traction. And it's not working out very well. I mean, it's working out okay. I'm by no means a social media guru. So, it's just been weird. But so I spent a lot of time yesterday looking at the best ways to do live interactive shows, but to do them relatively cheap, because again, I don't monetize this, and I might have to, just to be able to do the things that I want to do with it. I was hoping that I wouldn't have to, because I don't want to pay these companies more money than they're already making, and I really believe that things can be successful without that. And I'm trying to stay true to that, but I might not have much of a choice but to monetize it, even if it's just paying for my posts to be boosted for a few hours or whatever. I might have to do that, but I really don't want to, and because I'm not trying to be some social media influencer. Like, I don't want to video document my entire life and present it to you guys just so that people will potentially come listen to my podcast. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a weird dynamic. I think that what I talk about can have some value, but I don't think that means I gotta engulf my entire life into the advertising of it. It's the weirdest thing, but what I've learned is that everything is gearing towards video, right? And you see these like big production ones where they've got like this whole room in their house, or they rent some space out, and it's like some big studio, and they got all this furniture and stuff. Man, I'm not trying to do all that. What's the point? I feel like I can have a conversation with anybody. Like, we can sit in Studio Silverado, me in the driver's seat, a person in the passenger seat. I put the phone in the middle, re-record a conversation, and I feel like that's just as good for quality and content. But everybody wants to see it. My wife was telling me how she listens to one where they don't do a video, but they do record it so that they can cut up bits and pieces of it to use for advertising. But there's no actual video. Like, you can't go to YouTube and watch the podcast on YouTube, because they only use the video for advertising. And I was just like, yeah, it's that's the thing, and I don't know that I have a face for camera. So that's always been a concern. But anyways, that's what happened yesterday. I spent a lot of time trying to figure that out, and then I woke up when I went to bed last night, I had this game plan, because the last time I've been using my phone to record for, I don't know, all month for sure. The last month's worth of episodes have all been on my phone. I have my computer, and I have a microphone for the computer, and I have a program for the computer to be able to do not a fancy one, but one that comes with Spreaker, right? Because the main platform that my podcast goes through, and it's got this whole recording system. And I remembered the last time I used it, it had this live function, right? So I was like, oh, that's what I'll do, because I generally record this stuff in the mornings. I wake up in the morning, I go get my coffee, I browse the news, I get my topics, I kind of compile it all together, and then I just shoot from the hip and I start recording. Right? So I was like, I'll just do a live one. I'll do the same thing. Right? And yesterday I was flirting with the idea of just doing some, I don't know, Instagram live conversations, to try to boost that or something. Just things like that. So I wake up this morning, and I don't want to say I'm super excited, but I'm excited. I'm excited. I wake up, I get dressed, I go make some coffee, because usually I come to where I'm at right now, actually, get my coffee, and then I do everything, right? So I wake up, make my coffee, wife goes to work, kids are all getting up, it's all good to go. I get my laptop turned on, get everything powered up, so because it's kind of old, so it takes a second, and compile some of my notes. And my goal was at 7 a.m., which would be like 9 a.m. in the New York area, I believe. And then for all them fancy folks out in California, it'd be like 6 a.m. But, they really relish in their daytime. So I'm sitting there and I'm ready to go. I get everything set up and I click the go live. I type up all the information for the episode. And I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going to do this. Bam. And I click it and it says, oh, this feature is no longer available. Well, shit. So... huge letdown this morning, because my plan was, I'll do that. That's what I'll do. That'll be my thing. Hey, in the mornings, come listen to me rant. Come listen to me talk about stupid news articles to keep you somewhat informed and give some opinions. Maybe tell you about some gay wells here and there, right? Like, that's what I love about what I'm trying to do here. I think that adds value in ways that you don't get from major platforms, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'll just record it live. And I know there's a chat option. So let's figure that out. Let's figure this out. I'll figure out how to push it out to the social medias, and let's just see if I can get that going. But the feature's no longer available. So here we are. Now I'm back at my normal place. I've got my coffee. I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm recording this. I'm going to have to go. I'll go add the music and everything to it here shortly, and I'll get it uploaded hopefully by lunchtime. Because I do like that time frame. I don't know how well. I would probably have better success doing it at night, but I like to think that there's still a bunch of people out there that will, that are interested in listening to this while they're working or whatever, or even on their drive homes. You know what I mean? Because I really feel like when people get home, they're not trying to listen to a podcast, and I'm going off the assumption that most people are like me, where you got about a 30 to 40 minute commute, and that's perfect amount of time. So yeah, that's what I've been trying to do, and it's just not working out. I was thinking like YouTube Live, you need 50 subscribers. So if you're listening to this, please go over to youtube.com, go to the show Average Discussion, and please just give me a subscribe, please, because that's probably the only way I'm gonna be able to do the live thing moving forward, outside of like Instagram lives, Facebook lives, Twitter live, or whatever. And I don't know how. I feel like that's oversaturated, because everybody's trying to sell you something on those. I'm not trying to sell any. That's the biggest thing I want to point out, is I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not getting up here being like, come buy my merch. Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe I should. I do know some people with some machines and stuff. We can make some stuff, but yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. But I feel like that's what a lot of people think when you see lives and stuff like that. Right. And, I go live for my kids in sports so that my friends and family can see, but I've never really gone live for this. I did the one trial run, and I think just my time of day was probably bad. It didn't work out all that well. And so in my head, I was thinking, okay, 7 a.m., knock out the live thing, and then I'll figure out how to schedule in a time to do, maybe I'll split it up between the three sites, right? Like one day I'll do a Facebook live, the next day I'll do an Instagram live, the next day I'll do a Twitter live or something like that, right? But it'd have to be in the evening, and in the evening's extremely busy for me most of the time. I mean, it's starting to slow down. I'm almost at that point where it's starting to slow down. So it is something that is manageable, but either way, like that's where my head was at this morning. Huge letdown. Everything I'm finding going live, they want you to have X amount of followers. So if you I went to Rumble. I went to Rumble yesterday, and I set up an account because I'd heard another podcast that I listened to, and I'd done some research, and that was a good one for being able to stream some stuff. So I was like, okay, let me go over there and make an account. Well, I got to have 5 people to be able to do anything, and then I still have to be verified anyways. So that wasn't going to work. I spent a lot of time on it. I'm probably going to have to just dump some money into just doing my own website, and then I can do whatever the hell I want. Figure out how to stream it from there. But I can go live all I want when it's on my own platform. I don't have to follow the rules and prescribe to some other company's BS. So that's the long, short story of what went on yesterday and why I didn't get an episode out. In case you were wondering, people probably aren't wondering, but I'm about 14 minutes into this and I haven't even got into anything. So let's get to it. The State of the Union address is scheduled for today. They are hoping that it'll be ready in time, as the president had gone to the Smithsonian to dig up the typewriter his grandpappy gave him. And they're not sure that it's going to function properly. So they're hoping they can get this typed out in time to come out and tell us what's going on. I don't need a State of the Union address personally. I never really have. I'm not really sure why everybody gets so excited about it. And I think they only get excited about it so they can sit there and have something to argue about for the next 72 hours. Because listen, here's the State of the Union, in my opinion. We're broke. We're all stressed the hell out. And if we're not going to be fighting another country, we're probably going to be fighting ourselves. That's probably all you really need to know. So I just summed up a 3-hour long, you know, TV event in about 6 seconds. Like that's really all you need to know. Like, we're broke, we're fucking stressed, and we just want to fight everybody because we're so stressed out. So that's where we're at. I don't know how much more information we really need. But if you are interested in it, apparently, I'm pretty sure it's tonight that's supposed to go down. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a lot of talk about growth of jobs and economy, because, you know, that's they got to spin that in their way. Which, I was thinking about this, right? They talk about the employment rate going up, and I remember I kind of briefly mentioned it, but I want to retouch it. How much, I wonder how much of that increase is people getting second jobs? Because, like, I really don't know how they break down the data on it, right? But I assume you're not tracking the individual person, you're tracking the amount of just new employees, basically, right? So if I go out and I get a second job, that's essentially me getting another job, right? So is that really, I wonder how much of that might be playing a role, because times are tough, man. People are struggling, people are trying to figure it out. So I wonder if that plays a role in their statistics. And if it does, how shady and shitty is that when these politicians are using that stat to kind of justify and glorify their time in office, right? I mean, think about it. Like, you're bragging about the employment rate going up, and this is also, just bear with me, this is assuming that that stat is a part of it, and that number of people getting second jobs is as high as I imagine it probably could be, right? But you're literally using that stat to boost your own image, in essence. And it's not that things are getting better. Things are getting worse because people they need more money. They need to. So yeah, I don't know. What a shitty thing if you really think about it. If assuming all that plays a factor. I'm really curious about it. If anybody knows, please reach out to me. Let me know. Yeah, super interested about that. So the armorer on the Alec Baldwin movie, the one where he blasted somebody, well, she was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, and she could face up to 18 months in prison and a $5,000 fine. Now, mind you, that's up to, so she's probably not going to get that. She'll probably get the fine, though, because that's one thing the courts don't miss out on is their money. But the reason I put this on here is not that I really am that concerned about it. Just based off the vibe of the article, nobody wants her to go to jail. They want Alec Baldwin to go to jail. So, and this article just kind of reiterated that. You know, I brought it up, you know, before. People don't want closure; they want vengeance. You know what I'm saying? And I think this situation is a prime example of that. But for what, you know, I didn't look too much into it, but whatever it was, they found enough evidence to be able to convict her of involuntary manslaughter, and she should face her sentencing here shortly, I believe. But that's what she's facing: 18 months and $5,000 fine. So that's cool. She might end up meeting a celebrity, because Cam Newton goes on the record. He did a podcast with Shaquille O'Neal, and, you know, basically stating that, you know, he could have been in jail for an altercation that went on at a 7-on-7 little scrimmage thing that he was a part of. I saw video clips of it. I never really looked that much into it. If you're not familiar with who Cam Newton is, he was a former NFL quarterback, played a lot of time in Carolina. I cannot remember for the life of me what school he went to, college he went to. It'll come to me as soon as I'm done thinking about it. That's just the way the world works for me. But anyways, he was pretty good. But he was in an altercation with a bunch of people. Some punches were thrown, and, you know, nobody got arrested as a result of that. But he went on record to say that, you know, he easily could have been put in jail for it. And he said this, and this is the reason why I wrote this down. He says, you know, I'm a product of my environment. You know, I'm going to do these things. I don't take no crap. I don't do this, you know, the normal spiel. And I say the normal spiel because I've said similar things. I literally had when we were deployed, me and my buddies got together and we had these hoodies made, and they had these little sayings on them or whatever, and mine literally said "product of negativity," right? I don't know. It was just fun, good times. But so like I get the statement that he's coming from, and I don't know. It's just, I think when you get to a certain point, right? Because I've matured now, right? To sit there and say, because I was like 20, 24, 22, 23, somewhere in that range when we did this. You know what I mean? When you mature though, you get to this point where it's like, okay, I understand the environment I came up in, but I'm also a grown man. You know, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not against fighting somebody. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you disrespect me on a level that I feel like I need to throw hands, I absolutely will. But I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not trying to go that route because I just don't think it's necessary. You know what I mean? Mainly because I had this realization yesterday. It's amazing to me that I want to do things like this podcast and interact with people because I really just despise people. It's the strangest thing, but I'm not against it. And here's the thing though too, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Cam Newton, but he's a pretty big dude, man. Like, I mean, I imagine that if he catches you with one of them rights, it's probably going to hurt pretty good. Like, he's not a small guy. He's taken a lot of beatings. I mean, he was notorious for helmet-to-helmet hits, which in my opinion he initiated, but that's a whole nother conversation. But he was, he took a lot of shots. He's not some frail little dude. He's a pretty big dude. And I don't know that I'd be itching to try to pick a fight with him. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. He looks a little goofy in the media these days with his outfits and stuff. I mean, it's his style. It's who he is, whatever. I'm not judging that, but I can see how, like, maybe that's what gives people the forethought that they could, they should maybe do something. But he is not a small guy. He's not a small guy. Very interesting. If you live here in Utah, the 2024 legislature concluded. There was a lot of things that came out of that. I was going to do a lot more about that, but it's pretty basic stuff. But there was one that stuck out to me that I really kind of want to talk about right now, and it's the front license plate. You no longer need that in the state of Utah. So all those people that drilled holes in their bumpers because they got tickets because they didn't have a front license plate, yeah, you never had to do that because they just got rid of it. So fantastic. And the reason I bring that up is because I remember when I was in high school, I was working at this truck wash, and me and my friend, we were carpooling together, and we're on our way to work. And at this point in time, where this was located was on the way to Salt Lake, right? So it wasn't in the town that I lived in. It was the one road that takes you out all the way to the interstate at that time. And the cops used to just sit there all the time. It was like, it's easy pickings because, like, there's no turnoffs. There's none of that. You're going to see them. And they would just sit there and patrol it and, get the king's money for the highway. So anyway, so we're going there, and we get closer to where we're going to work. And there's just red and blues everywhere. There's like 15 of them. Maybe even more. I don't even know. But they're just pulling people over left and right. They're doing like this big sting enforcement thing, right? And so my buddy gets pulled over. And when he gets up there, and this is where I first started having some thoughts about, I don't know that I really care much for the institutions of government. I mean, I would join the army after, so it wasn't that big apparently. But either way, this is where I first started kind of getting that, because so the I'm doing air quotes. You can't see because I don't do video, right? But maybe I will for advertising. The officer comes up to the window and basically explains to us that he's part of the tax commission enforcement agency, or something like that. It's something to do with the taxes, right? And I was like, are you serious? Right? And they said that the reason they pulled him over was because he didn't have a front license plate. Now, he did have a front license plate, but he had it in the window of his little SUV that we were in, right? So he's trying to point that out. And whatever. But me, I can't get past the, you said you're part of the tax commission? Like, no. And I'm telling him, like, dude, drive away. Like, this guy doesn't have the right to pull us over. Screw this guy, right? I was a little defiant. I'm not gonna lie. Luckily he didn't, because we probably would have been in a lot of trouble. But either way, so anyways, so they give him this ticket because his license plate is not on the front of his vehicle, because that was a big push. That's what they were out there for. They were enforcing the front license plate. And I always think about that situation. I think about the amount of money that they probably got over that stupid kind of stuff, right? And then lo and behold, here we go. Fast forward. I mean, this has obviously been, let's see, I would have been about, I can't remember if I was like 17 or 18 at the time that this happened. So at least 18 years ago, at least, right? And lo and behold, here we are. You no longer need it. And I remember people literally being pissed off because the car that they had didn't have a spot for it on the bumper, so they had to drill it in themselves, and they were pissed off that they had to do that, and blah, 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 blah. And here we go. You never had to do that now, because it's no longer a requirement. You know, and I look at situations like that, and I have to think to myself, like, I really feel like it'd be something similar if they legalized, say, like marijuana, right? For just everyday consumption, no permits required, all that stuff, right? Like, you could just go to the store and buy the stuff, right? If they ever did that, I imagine there'd be a lot of people pissed off that they ever got in trouble for it. Because that's a hard pill to swallow, right? Like, you know, say you ended up in some program, because that's their favorite thing too, right? Like, you get in trouble with drugs and they want to put you in their programs that cost money, and then there's all these things that you have to do, and you end up in these programs, and then you mess up and you go back to the beginning and you have to pay more money, right? It's a pyramid scheme, in my opinion. But you know, but that's a real part of it, right? Like, people have literally gone to jail, they've lost jobs, they've you know, and usually that's for big things, right? I mean, can it happen to somebody who's just got, say, like, you know, a joint in their pocket or something? It's probably not likely, right? But has it happened? Probably, right? And maybe it's one of those things where it's like, you know, this is the 5th time it's happened, so you're going to jail to learn a lesson, right? But either way, can you imagine having gone to jail, or had to have been a part of these programs, or had any kind of impact on your life because of that, and then now all of a sudden you can just buy it at Walmart? Like, think about that, man. There'd be a lot of pissed off people, and so I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about the license plate thing. I know it's 2 dramatic differences. I'm well aware of that, but I just feel like it's in the same ballpark range. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But one of the last things, it's news related in the sense that you'll see a lot of articles for it. But AI, artificial intelligence, I really feel like that, for one, I think it blew up. I remember, it didn't feel like that long ago, like the only thing you were really hearing about was like Chat GPT. And then now everything's utilizing it. And it's so big, I think it's scaring the hell out of the establishment. I really do. And here's the reason why. Because they're literally introducing legislation to kind of curb some of it, right? And they're really concerned about political ads. You know, and which, to an extent, I get it, right? Because you can go out there and you can make an AI image that looks, at a glance, looks pretty realistic, right? And so you could do some pretty nefarious things with that. You could really destroy the image of somebody probably pretty easily. And with the way social media is, unless you're trying to promote your podcast without video, things spread like wildfire. You know what I mean? So to an extent, I get it. I really truly do. To an extent, I get it. So you know, they're doing these things where, you know, you have to advertise basically if it's AI. I don't know that that's necessarily bad. All right, but here's the thing. I always talk about coincidental timing, right? And the fact that it's all coming out pre this election, because we know this election is going to be shit. I'm sorry, I don't care who you support. My stance on it is I don't like either one of those guys. It pisses me off to no end that these are our 2 selections. I didn't say election. selections, because those were the two we were going to get. We all knew that, and I do not care to go through however many months we got till November, and just I'm not excited for that at all. The news is going to be absolute fucking trash. Like, I literally turned on the news yesterday morning, and because Trump did his primary thing, right? Or Super Tuesday, which I've always just heard called the primaries. That's why I was confused when I heard Super Tuesday. It's probably been a thing. I can't recall hearing it, or maybe my memory's getting worse. I don't really know. But so he did good, and I turned on the news yesterday morning, and this CNN anchor was having a complete fucking meltdown because she said it was irresponsible of her network to air that victory speech because it's all lies, it's all garbage, it's all trash. Like, we're going to hear that for the next X amount of months, and it's going to be fucking everywhere. Like, I just want to see some news, man. Like show me what's going on in parts of the country. I don't want to hear about what Trump said about the Biden administration or what the Biden administration said about Trump. Like, I'm not interested in this at all. I'm super fucking pissed off that we're going to have to deal with the same bullshit and shenanigans that we dealt with 4 fucking years ago. And here's the worst part, right? For me, it's not even about who's going to be the better candidate, right? For me, I'm looking at it like, let's assume Trump does win, okay? What's he really going to do? Because he's going to spend the next 4 years punching a brick wall, dealing with the same impeachment litigation crap that they tried to do the last time. Like, it's just going to be a fucking nightmare for the next 4 fucking years. I don't want either one of those two in office. Neither one. So please don't take this as I'm advocating one way or the other. I'm done with both of them, man. Like, you cannot tell me there's not a better fucking option. You cannot tell me that. Out of all those politicians, you cannot tell me that those parties can't present a better fucking candidate. You cannot tell me that. This is so fucking stupid. It's so stupid. And I get wanting the one over the other. Like, I'm not trying to knock people who are supportive of that stuff, right? All I'm saying is come on, guys. Like, why are we trying to go? Can we not see that all we're doing is creating chaos after chaos after chaos? So if you elect the current president back in, it's going to be the same shit that we're dealing with, which is chaos. If you elect this other guy in, it's going to be the new chaos because they're going to try to just stop and curb everything that he does. Politics has always been like that. It probably always will be like that, which is why I cannot fucking stand it. And this mess is out of control. So I'm just going to leave that part alone because I really got off on a rant. And I'm trying not to talk about that situation because I know people have strong feelings about it. And usually their feelings are regurgitation of articles. So I'm not regurgitation of facts that they haven't even looked up themselves that they claim are facts. It happens. Life is life. I'm not judging people, but there's got to be better fucking options. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, back to the AI thing. I think it's really scaring the shit out of people. I really do, because I don't think that they go through and make legislation as fast as they have on something. Because it can cripple their authority structure to some degree. Like, I don't know that it can cripple it entirely. Like, they don't care if it takes over our jobs. Like, they don't give a shit about that. They just don't want you to make political cartoons that make it look like they're on Epstein's Island or something. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what their legislation's for. And I'm sure it'll pass unanimously. And like I said before, anything that passes unanimously scares the shit out of me, because what are they getting out of it? These guys can't agree on what pin to use. I'm sure they've probably legitimately had an argument about the brand of pin that's used during legislative processes. Like, I'm pretty sure that's probably happened at some point. Like, they can't even agree on that kind of stuff. But, they can unanimously agree on certain things that definitely affect them. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up. Like, I think this AI craze, I think it's really scaring the crap out of these guys. But I don't know. So that's kind of your news topics, news headlines. I just kind of wanted to close with some thoughts about the past, right? The thing that Cam Newton said and some things kind of going on in my head right now. I was thinking about that. The past defines us a lot, right? Like, it holds a big weight on us. And because, I often feel shitty about myself sometimes because, you know, I have made a big push to become a better person, like all around better person. I try to be better in my community. I try to be better to my friends and family. I try to be better to complete strangers, you know, and that's because I wasn't like that before, you know. I mean, yeah, I was young, I was dumb, but you know, it holds a weight on me, right? Like people that I actually cared about or had good standing with, you know, I treated a lot of people like crap. I really did. And, you know, I look at it and I say things like I was super loyal because, you know, I'd go through and if you needed me, like I was going to be there, and I don't care how many people we got to brawl with, like I'm down, you know, I got your back. And then, so yeah, I was absolutely loyal in that respect, in that regard. But when it came to being a good person and being loyal in that regard, I think I failed a lot. You know, I abused a lot of people's, I don't want to say love because that's not, I don't know that that's the right word. But that's what I'm going to say. I abused a lot of people's love for me. You know what I mean? Love and respect. You know, and again, I was young. But that holds a big weight on me. And I often feel like, you know, I'm going to be judged for that by the people I used to know. And that's actually a concern of mine, you know. And so I imagine that, you know, when a person like Cam Newton with his platform says some things like, you know, I'm a product of my environment. Well, yeah, man, we all are. We all absolutely are. And, you know, if I look back at it, the environments that I was in were not, they weren't conducive for good situations most of the time, right? Like, did we have a bunch of fun? Sure, yeah, but I mean, the amount of times that it ended up in situations that were not ideal, they weren't good situations, and the times that we arguably should have been in worse situations, right? Because that's, you know, skating death type of thing, right? Or skirting death, or whatever the phrase is, and I don't know. So I'm really trying to let go of that. But I would be lying if I said that it doesn't affect me, right? Because it absolutely does. Like I've always maintained that, you know, there's a few phrases that really just drive me crazy, right? One of them being practice makes perfect. I hate that phrase because practice makes habit. If you're practicing wrong, then you're just perfectly wrong, right? So practice makes habit. Like the way you practice makes the habit that you do. That's why they say things like train like you fight and things like that. So that way, when it comes time to do it for real, you've already practiced it, and that's your habit. But practice doesn't make perfect. It just makes habit. And that's just my take on it. But so that phrase bothers me mainly because I think it gets overused, and it gets used in, I don't know, it's just a catchphrase. But that phrase bothers me. And so does don't live your life with regrets or anything similar to that, right? Like, people say things like, I don't regret anything. That phrase bothers the hell out of me because I look at a lot of those things. I do regret a lot of things in my life. I regret a ton of things. I don't regret that I went through the experiences because they all taught me valuable lessons, but I regret that I put myself into those experiences, right? And I feel like if you don't regret things, then you've never had a reason to grow. That's where I feel. I don't think regret makes you a terrible person. I don't think that it makes you less of a man or less of a woman or less of a whatever you call yourself, right? Regret, I don't think that's what regret is. But to say things like you don't have any regrets means that you never learned or grew from anything. Nothing catastrophic enough happened in your life for you to change who you were to be a better person. That's my opinion on that. And that's why that phrase really bothers me, because one, it makes it look like you're somehow less of a person because you have regrets, right? And I think it gets twisted into this idea that if you regret something about your life, then, you know, you're not appreciative of where you are. I don't think that's true at all. It's like saying you can't be a hypocrite. I absolutely can be a hypocrite. Nothing says I can't be a hypocrite. You just don't like hypocrites. So what you like is irrelevant, right? So it's like, opinions change. I can be a hypocrite, dude. I can say something last week, get some new information, and have a totally different thought process today. People don't like that, but hey, I've grown, I've matured, right? And that's how I feel about the regret thing. I don't think it's responsible on anybody's part to say that they don't regret things. I feel like that's a lie. I really do. I don't believe that you can genuinely go through life and have no regret. Not a single regret. Whether it was the career path you chose, whether it was the one time you got a soda and now you drink sodas all the time, right? I don't think that that's a thing. And so that phrase really bothers me. So I'm not afraid to say that I regret things. And I think it gets twisted up really easily, and it gets thrown around on relationships a lot, I think. Right? And so, like, if you say you regret something, people are like, well, do you regret your marriage? Do you regret your relationship with your girlfriend, boyfriend, or your pots and pans, or whatever it is that you're into, right? Like, and I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, just because you regret something doesn't mean that you inevitably regret everything. And I think there can be things that you regret about your current situation that you would do differently. Are you mad that things turned out the way that they did? No, absolutely not. But that doesn't mean that I don't regret having made this decision or that decision. You know what I'm saying? And it really gets a bad rap, I think. It's just, that really bothers me. So in terms of the past, right? I'm trying to let a lot of it go. I've come to peace with a lot of things in my past, but there's still some things out there that I catch myself every so often, just kind of being like, dang, I didn't realize how much I let that affect me, And I think that one of them was the way I used to treat people, the way I used to take them for granted, for sure. I took a lot of people for granted, and it's probably arguably damaged those relationships moving forward. I say it all the time. Like, I literally lived down the street from one of my best friends when I was growing up, and we hardly ever talked. I mean, when I say best, like, when we met each other, man, I pretty much lived at his house. Like, we spent a lot of time together, and then we kind of went our own separate ways a little bit towards high school, but we still hung out all the time. You know what I mean? We were still around each other, and I hardly ever talked to the guy. I've got his number on my phone. He literally lives like 6 houses up from me. I hardly ever talk to him, and that's on me, but it's also on him. And I wonder how much of that, sometimes I sit and I think and I wonder how much of that stems from the way that I used to take advantage of people like that. I used to take advantage of their give a fuck, take advantage of their love, their respect, whatever word you want to throw in there, right? So yeah. I didn't realize how much. I don't know why I just turned the windshield wipers. I'm not driving. I didn't realize how much I kind of let that affect me. So if that's something that you're struggling with, just know you're not alone. For one, if you want to bounce some ideas on how to kind of get over it, I'm all about that. I should get over it's a bad way to put it, right? Like, I don't think people really ever get over anything. You just learn how to deal with things. Which sucks because, yeah, it sucks. Like, I wish it was easier for us to get over things and move on from them. But I don't know that you ever really can. You just learn how to let it be less impactful, I suppose. And then you just learn how to control your reactions to it, because that's really all you can do. It's like, I don't know. I've said it before, but, I think a lot of times we do things to earn forgiveness. But the reality of it is you may never get that forgiveness. And so at some point you got to forgive yourself and be okay with that. And I don't know. But just know you're not alone. Definitely reach out anytime. Don't be afraid to. It's not a big deal. So 45 minutes in. Might as well wrap this up. Hey, you know where to find me. Facebook, facebook.com/average discussion. Instagram, average discussion. Instagram, I'm a lot more popping on that. More popping, because Facebook is pretty much dead for me, I realized. Because I think I messed up, and I created it such a long time ago. I set it up as a page, and I think they're changing a lot of their rules on that. I don't get much visibility. I think a lot of that's also because of how long ago I set it up. It's like, I was talking to my wife last night, and I said, to me it seems like cell phone companies. All the existing customers get screwed while the new guys get all the pretty stuff. That's how it feels. So, Instagram's pretty popping though for me. Not really. I mean, it's probably my most active. So Instagram, page is called Average Discussion. X, formerly known as Twitter, @AVG Discussion. If you have a Twitter account, head over there, give me a follow. Let's chat. Reach out to me. I want to grow that, I think. Because if there's one thing I learned in the metaverse shutdown, that was the only place to go. And I had no idea how to advertise, let people know I was doing an episode. So, I don't know. I got to figure that out. But, yeah, if you got one of those, head over there, give me a follow. Let's get together. Follow you back. I don't know if that shit's important, but I think it is. I don't know. Let's see what else. Threads, which is pretty much just Twitter for Instagram. I'm over there too. Average Discussion. What else do I got? I don't even know what I've already said. YouTube. Oh my gosh, YouTube. Yeah. So if you haven't done so already, please go over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com. Channel's Average Discussion. Please just give me a subscribe so I can get to that golden number of 50, and I'll start doing live broadcasts. But I can't do it until then. So, yay. But yeah, please head over there. Do that. I don't know. I'm sure I'm missing something, but I don't know. I'm kind of over it right now. So, hey, thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed the show. I hope that you enjoy all the shows. Please continue to support, share this content, share the information, let your friends know about it. So give me some likes and follows to get it bumped up, because, hey, maybe this isn't your thing entirely, but maybe it's somebody's thing, and I need help getting that exposure out there to find those people. So, I appreciate the support that I have gotten. I love it. I love you guys for it. Thank you so much. Just keep helping me out if you wouldn't mind. I mean, I'm super appreciative of it. I'll tell you that. So, as always, guys, I hope you take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. And until next time, I'm out.